They've had plenty of carrots over the week, so they've got their night eyes working well, and they're using all the track and a little bit more, trying to maximize everything. And drivers get into the rhythm, and the rubber goes down, and you explore little things which you maybe didn't have time to do in the testing, but when you get in the car for a good sort of 2-3 hour stint, you soon discover new little things that you explore just to get the maximum from it.
On board now with Anthony Davidson, and that's a bit of traffic ahead of him. That is not for position. 3 seconds now. Actually, he's lost a position to Albuquerque, hasn't he? Albuquerque was behind, and now Davidson 3 seconds behind Albuquerque. You didn't see that on screen, and but he lost 4 seconds on the last lap. Actually, it's Albuquerque who's got the pace, a 32.5 the last time. The rest of them around him on a 36. And this probably is Davidson being informed by his team exactly what's happening.
Something's annoying.
All good, all good. We'll make it up at pit lane. All good. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Albuquerque got us, I think, is what he said, and that's really annoying. So perhaps he just caught traffic in the wrong point, and as we see by the lap time, not a very strong lap time, as we've got penalties coming in for some cars, including the 24 machine and the 33. Now that's 33 is high class. They are way, way down the field.
So is the Nielsen car.
And the Nielsen
24
car as well.
Yeah. But Anthony wouldn't be complaining about when he made his pit stop. He'll be complaining about either traffic or tyre choice or something like that. It won't be, yeah.
Well, look at the last laps for all of our top LMP2 cars. They're on the same bit of track. Alex Brundle 3:36. Jean Verne the same. Philippe Albuquerque a 3:32, and then Davidson a 3:36 again. So somehow Albuquerque found a decent chunk of time compared to his rivals on that last lap. But look, if you just get caught at the wrong moment, suddenly the time ebbs and ebbs and ebbs away. Nowhere for Davidson to get past the Aston Martin there. He'll have to do it now with a bit of more clear track.
You can see his front and rear tyre pressures there. 198, that's his front, left and right, and then 187 on the rear. That's the tyre pressures that he's running currently, which are in the middle of his dash.
That'd be quite interesting information for others, wouldn't it?
So, I mean, it sounds quite high to me. Two bar
Yeah.
on the front and 1.8 on the rear is quite high. But maybe that's a Goodyear car, isn't it? So maybe Goodyear have said you've got to run quite high pressures.
Yeah, but normally around here, because of the speed, you definitely do. But certainly 2 bar on the front, then the offset front to rear. I presume that's a balance issue more than necessarily anything else. Structurally, 1.9, 1.85, 1.9 is kind of normal. But when you get up to 2 bar, then I think you'll be losing a little bit. But if you've got a balance issue, Jamie, it might be something related to trying to do that.
That's what he's complaining about. He's complaining at the fact that he's got 2 bar front tyre pressure, and he's saying, why are the cold pressures not set correctly when they went on the car? I think that's what it could be. He could be saying it's so annoying because now he's got too much understeer because the front tyres are like going like balloons, and you lose grip and performance from that.
And the more you understeer, the more they go up as well.
Yeah.
This will be the second stint, or the third stint on these tyres. Last pit stop was a fast one.
Yeah, 2.04, that's quite high.
And it starts to drop as there's less force going through them on the straights, but then on the braking they push back up just that slight bit more.
Yeah, so they cool down on the straights, and then you'll see now as he hits the brakes, up they go. And that's load on the tyre, and also the brake disc glowing 800 degrees dissipates, that heat dissipates into the tyre.
What stint is he on for these tyres?
You've got the computer.
He keeps doing that, doesn't he?
1 second.
Thank you.
Certainly the second, if not the third stint on those tyres. And there is the 32 from the outside, our leader. And now
7/10.
Yeah, Verne's back on his tail again. So somewhere the ebb and flow of traffic is played against Alex Brundle.
And actually, Anthony now is 12 seconds behind Brundle, so he is losing time. He's losing. He's 6.6 seconds behind Felipe Albuquerque, and yeah,
he is certainly on his third stint now. He's due for a pit stop in the next couple of laps.
So he'll be making a wee adjustment to those pressures.
He'll be getting out, I think.
Oh, really? Only 3 stints? No.
Let me look through. Yeah, I mean, maybe it changes now, but they have been doing 3 stints.
I'd think normally you would follow if you're changing the tyre, you'd change the driver at the same time.
And the traffic playing against Jean-Eric Verne there through the Porsche curves. Just getting stuck behind a Porsche at the wrong moment as Alex Brundle managed to sneak through just ahead. Philippe Albuquerque in the pits for United Autosports 22. And he had a fresh set of tyres the last pit stop, so this will be a shorter stop for him to double stint those tyres. Presumably also meaning that he'll be staying in the car too. And this fascinating battle will continue at 10:30 local time here at Le Mans. Switching our attention to some GTM machines. That is the 99 Dempsey Proton car. And into the pits is, well, we said that, Philippe Albuquerque in the pits.
Who's in that car at the moment, the 99?
Martin distracted me so I could go and talk about someone else. Vittekorn's in the car. Come on.
You're still struggling with that, aren't you?
I haven't even tried, not on air, not in front of millions of people. Nice quick service then, Philippe Albuquerque. He'll be heading back out onto circuit. Full of fuel. No change of tyres and a pit stop of 1 minute and 13 seconds. Now we do have a stint change for our cameramen as well. This is when the night crew start to pick up the cameras, and we start to lose a couple of the cameras because we reduce our team slightly for the night stint, and we saw them all getting themselves full of fuel and food before heading out to their positions. Just consider for a second standing out in the middle of the French countryside for a 12-hour stint through the night. It's not an easy thing to do, operating one of these cameras, and credit to all of our crew, both out on the cameras and in the truck here at the Circuit de la Sarthe. A massive effort, as is every year, to bring you these stunning pictures around and sending them around the world.
Here we go, 1,600 kilometres covered so far by these cars. Again, Brundle on softs, Jean-Eric Verne on mediums, and we can see a difference of 22 laps versus 29 for the 2 cars. So that might also help Alex in the lead car there. 7 laps newer tyres. And
presumably with 29 laps completed, we'll expect to see Jean-Eric Verne come into the pits pretty soon too. Pierre Rag aboard the Signatec Alpine machine that took victory last year. They won't be taking victory this year. Early problems with water pressure, a water leak, and perhaps damage to the engine because of that. They are still running, but they are 15th in LMP2.
Small fact, but Kevin Estre last in GT Pro at the moment in 8th place, some 2 laps behind the leaders, but he's just done his fastest Sector 1. So maybe the Porsche is suddenly going to come alive in the night time now that the temperatures have dropped, and maybe we'll see a resurgence from the 2 Pro cars.
Bit of a speculation online about the potential for the cars that have lacking straight line speed. Have they gone a little bit towards a wet setup, knowing that it's going to get wet? Could a Porsche have done the same thing?
Well, could have, couldn't they? And United, I think, definitely have. It's hard to know unless we get that information. We could send Haley down there to find out. Here we go, a rip-off. This is a tear-off and he peels it off, and voila, we have a new windscreen for the driver. Very important at night to be able to see where you're going. They'll probably do the tear-offs on the lights as well. A Michelin man is going around looking at these big holes in the top of the LMP2 cars. He's looking at the surface of the tyre just to check the wear marks, and he gave it the thumbs up.
Anthony Davidson also in the pits this lap. We'll see in a second whether he stays in the car. Of course, he's on Goodyear tyres. Alex Brundle on Michelin.
Now, of course, Alex Brundle with 25 laps on those tyres. They will, after another 10 laps, then do 35 laps, but not all of those laps have been at racing conditions, so it's not quite the representative 3 stints of 10 laps.
No, we need a bit of green flag racing to see that properly, but yeah, we've had various slow zones. We've had then safety cars, then we had slow zones with no safety car, then we had safety car again, so really not a standard stint, let's say. So Brundle on his way out already, so I think he's just taken fuel. And we'll see about Anthony Davidson in a minute. I think Anthony might be getting out the car, though. We said, there we go, Da Costa into the car.
Lots of work being done by Antonio Felix Da Costa and teammates at the moment in the darkness of night. On board with Richard Lietz, who's really pushing it. Tony Villander has been spectacular in that Ferrari. And as the night falls, all the drivers know that
it's harder to see track limits.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
So suddenly you do know that they might not be able to spot you if you go 4 wheels off. Here's Louis Delatraz in pit lane.
Well, they have to give you the benefit of the doubt. If
Yes,
they
exactly.
can't see you, they have to give you the benefit of the doubt.
And we don't. And it is a human standing at the corner. It's not like it's automated and computerized. It probably could be in the next
Well,
few years.
there's cameras around, and they go back and they analyse each report that comes in. They analyse it in.
Peter, you used to cheat every single lap in the dark.
Well, yes. Let's face it. We're all drivers, and
You're always looking for an advantage.
You're
aren't
always
you?
looking for an advantage. If you think you can get away with it, you try.
Track limits, what are they?
Fritz van Aert is under investigation for his last pit stop. He's had plenty of time in that Racing Netherlands car. Pretty much all weekend he seems to be in it. Guido van der Garde with issues very, very early in the race. And that Jackie Chan DC Racing leading when it had a problem, something to do with the electrics on the rear end of the car. And there's not a great hurry to get it fixed now. That's such a shame for effectively the Gte car. Gte with 2 cars, their Gte machine, named Gte, still doing well though with Antonio Felix Da Costa in 4th position. Still waiting for Jean-Eric Verne to come into the pits, but he's a bit off sequence in comparison to Gte United, so we won't get a real representation of where they sit until a few more laps.
Alex Lynn and Alessandro Pierre Guidi, 7 tenths apart still. They're battling it out, as well as this 6th and 7th place battle between the WeatherTech and the Porsche.
It's got the legs though, hasn't it, that Ferrari?
Yes,
it has
it
the
has.
legs.
Feel a bit sorry for Porsche. I mean, there's not a lot you can do if you're not quick enough in a straight line. You're stuffed.
Best lap for the 51 car, last lap through. So the golden hour seems to be happening now, which is about the same time.
Yeah, there's a few doing. 2 of them have just done fastest laps, haven't they? Sebastian Bourdais just gone quickest in the 5th place Risi Ferrari with a 52.0. But they're all going quite quick.
Yeah, absolutely. 2 tenths of a second between Pierre Guidi and Alexander Lynn for the lead in GT Pro.
The fastest lap of the race, though, the Bruno Senna lap from lap 4, a 3:19.26 still stands. So we will expect at some point those boys to start pushing, hopefully. But I doubt we'll see the Toyotas breaking any lap records because they're so far apart from each other, a lap apart. I think they'll just be cruising.
So these two came across the line with 2 tenths of a second separating them, but then got caught by traffic, and suddenly that gap's gone out to 1.7 seconds, like that. It
Looking
ebbs
at
and
their lap
flows.
times, their average lap times are almost identical over their stints. Alex Lynn looks to be pitting very soon, this lap.
And that's interesting, a split tyre.
Soft and medium, yeah. So you can change the balance of your car if you're struggling with something. You can put softs on the front or the rear or whatever you need, and it can assist you.
In the pits, the car guys, GT AM machine, Takeshi Kimura, 19th position in GT AM right now. They've obviously had a few issues with their car. They're a few laps off their nearest challenger. There's always a collection of funny colours at the bottom of the timing screens when you get to this point of those that have had maladies throughout the race so far. Leitz has got a bit closer through the fiddly stuff to the Ferrari, but ultimately that Ferrari just has legs when it gets to the Mulsanne. Into the pits for Miguel Molina from 3rd position. Still a good fight, isn't it, between Aston Martin and Ferrari at the moment. And then we're hoping that the rain may come and bring Porsche into the mix as well. That's what they're hoping too, I hope. They keep giving you weather updates saying it's raining, so...
I don't think it's going to rain.
At all?
Not until tomorrow.
That's a bold suggestion.
Are you a betting man?
No, tomorrow. I think it's going to rain tomorrow.
Does tomorrow mean after midnight?
I don't think it's going to rain tonight.
It doesn't mean before midnight.
So while it's dark then, you don't think it's going to rain while it's dark?
No.
Oh, and officially sunrise is 7:43 tomorrow morning, ladies and gentlemen. So put that down in your diary to see if JCW can win the bet.
Acceleration is the problem for the Porsche, not top speed.
Okay.
I have a source.
Where are you getting that information from?
My info's
Okay,
top secret.
Good, yeah. But essentially, your acceleration's slow out the corner. You can't then catch up all the way down the straight, and you can't pick up the toe. So yeah, equals the same thing, really, doesn't it?
He's a bit closer this time, coming into the Mulsanne corner at the far end of the circuit. But you do, that Ferrari just ebbs away, just ekes a distance. And look how good it is under braking. Obviously, there is a certain amount of concertina effect into braking zone, but that Porsche is so much better through Mulsanne, right on the tail again. And by the time we get to Indianapolis, there's going to be a gap again. How frustrating for Richard Leitz. Almost looks like one light as they come towards us.
Not as frustrating as it is for Kevin Estre sitting down in 52nd place at the moment. That car, what was it, power steering failure.
Yeah. Power steering, a puncture early doors as well. I think the 91 car also had a puncture around the similar time, according to our notes, but I'm not sure whether our notes got confused with both cars.
And ironically, that car's just done its fastest lap, a 3:52.1, which would put it well up there. Actually, no, Pierre Guidi Alessandro has just done a 3:51.0, his fastest lap.
On the lap that Alex Lynn's gone into the pits.
Right, interesting.
That's
so
pretty close to the qualifying pace of that car.
It's weird, isn't it? Because golden hour in June is around this time. But
yes.
We're 3 months down the line, and golden hour seems to be happening, at least for the GT cars.
Well,
in fact, even Jean-Eric Verne fastest lap as well.
3:30.3 for Jean-Eric, leader currently.
So the air is thick right now, and the temperature isn't too low, and everybody is finding pace. Maybe have changed onto the softer night tyre to give them a little bit more grip too, and the Aston Martin boys stand by. This had a split tyre on the last time we saw the graphic, mediums and softs.
So they're interesting to see if the Ferrari jumps it while we do the pit stops, because the Ferrari will be in very shortly as well.
There goes, I think we're seeing Miguel Molina come across the line. No, that's the battle between Porsche and Ferrari for 5th in class that we've been following.
Vilander at the wheel.
They're both on new tyres as well, I think. They both took a set of tyres the last time through. But the Porsches have been doing this left side only? Left side only tyres change and leave the rights on, which gives us a little skewed, strange look to the pit stop time, because of course it's faster than doing all 4, but slower than doing none. Which kind of makes sense, really. This kind of theory.
So looking at the speeds of the two cars there, you're kind of right, Jamie. Out of the corner, the Ferrari seemed to get up to speed a lot quicker, but they both topped out about the same speed.
Yeah.
Into the pits, Jean-Jacques Vergne from the lead of LMP2. This will be very interesting to see where he filters out after this stop. And we're having a change of driver as well. Is that Rusinov getting back into the car?
Yeah, I think it was.
I think it was, yeah.
I didn't quite see his helmet, but I think it was, because Jensen was in the car when I was last in the booth, so I presume it's him next.
Now, they didn't change tyres last time. Those tyres, the last time we saw the graphic, had done 29 laps, so they'd done about 32, but a lot of those laps would have been on safety car.
Yeah.
I wonder whether they will look to change. Usually it would be a new set for a new driver.
It will, yeah. And here's Brundle coming out the Porsche curves up to the last chicane, at the Ford chicane. So will he take the lead? Probably,
yeah,
if they are going to change tyres. There he's off. This will be close. Alex will be just exiting the Ford chicane now. We'll be looking for him on the left-hand side. And
well, it will be close. Where is he?
yeah, there he goes. And he takes the lead.
What about Philippe
Is this
Albuquerque,
him?
who's been very, very fast in second? We're going to have to see how that shake out. Yes, that's Albuquerque
him.
ahead.
Yeah.
So actually, G-Drive go down to third, and United are 1-2 here at Le Mans. That's exciting for them. They've had a great day in Road to Le Mans. Ultimately not on the top step of the podium, but with running 4 cars in Road to Le Mans, and then the 2 here in the main class. There's plenty more racing to go, but it's very exciting.
Maybe that extra bit of downforce is coming into play for them now. I mean, on a free lap through the Porsche curves, or down through sector 1, through Dunlop chicane and down through the S's, that extra downforce, as long as the driver can use it, then it's a huge advantage. The disadvantage is getting past the traffic on the long straights, and that will ebb and flow. But as the race goes on, you do get less traffic because a few cars break down and they're in the pits more and so on, and perhaps it's going to play into their hands. And especially if we do have rain later on tonight, then or tomorrow, then that will. Jeff is looking rather knackered there, isn't he?
Well, he's used to just driving that electric thing around for a couple of laps, isn't he?
Yes,
You know,
that's what it is.
a 3-hour stint now is quite a long time.
In a closed car, of course.
In a closed car that's fast.
Yeah.
And makes noise and is visceral. No offence to Formula E fans around the world. So Romain Roussillon has a brand new set of tyres to play with as well. So it's got some new Michelins against the used Michelins in both the United cars. Alex was radioing into us to say she's got some news from the pits. So let's put Alex on air and she can update us. Alex?
Just that they are starting to look a little healthier, and Jackie Chan, Will Stevens is getting ready to go back out, so fingers crossed there.
That's great news. I mean, unfortunate that they really have now fallen to 52nd place and lost a huge amount of time, but be nice to have them back out on the circuit. The other car that still is a question mark is G-Drive Racing by Algarve. They changed the steering wheel on that car, but it still seemed to have issues, and they are now doing something drastic in pit lane as well. So another team to go and visit and find out exactly what's going on. Definitely electrical issues, and a
lot of electrical issues. I mean, that's
not hard to fix.
Jota's in, Algarve Pro in. We've seen a lot of silly little things. Not easy to fix, no.
It has been a remarkably attritional race in LMP2. Nothing. I've never seen anything like it. We had the 2 cars with cooling issues at the start of the race, Signatech and the Racing Tin Letland car. those two cars that stopped at the circuit under the safety car, there's something very weird going on here.
Do you think it's the coronavirus and the lack of, continuous running and, doing your Sebrings and Spas and Silverstones and da-da-da, and the guys, maybe, a lot of them were maybe furloughed, and, the cars just sat there because we were all in lockdown, and, we've gone back to racing, but everyone's a bit rusty, and things are not done properly, and things have sat still.
Well, in fairness, if you look at the cars that are having the troubles, for the most part, it's the WEC cars. That's the other part of it here, the LMS cars.
In a rusty container on their way back from wherever.
Well, they've certainly not had the tender loving care that they would have over many months, and they've had one race this year since, well, two races if you talk about COTA as well, been on the way back from COTA. But there is something weird about this race at LMP2. We don't normally see this kind of level. They're not niggles, these are major problems.
That was, I think, Kevin Estre that we were seeing there in conversation. He's just got out of the car and handed the 92 to Michael Christensen.
Now, DaCosta's taking tyres, but he only just... Oh, that was a quick stop. One tyre was changed. Or just the left-hand side, maybe.
And he wasn't due in, was he?
I don't think he was due in, so has he picked up a slow puncture there?
4 laps.
Oh, only 4 laps. So that, puncture.
Oh dear.
So they've topped him up with fuel and sent him on his way.
And that's slightly taken that car out of the lead battle. 5 seconds separate our top 3 in LMP2. And Alex confirms down in pit lane, as she's been around Jota for a while, that there was a puncture on that car. That will be certainly from some kind of debris. And here's Richard Lietz being passed by a Ferrari this time. Is that the Risi competition car going past him?
That's another lap on him.
Oh, that was a factory car, that was an AF car.
Oh, and they both come in together. So this is maybe why they changed just the right-hand side. It's just to get ahead of the Ferrari.
Yeah, just try and change the viewpoint for him.
Very strange for a driver when you change just one side on a car. You've got new rubber on one side and old rubber on the other. When you go out the pit lane, the steering wheel, the circumference of the tyre
wheels,
is different. And so you find you come out the corner, you come out the pit lane, you're like, it feels like there's something wrong, because the wheel is slightly to the left or to the right. And then when you hit the brakes for the first time, you've obviously got a lot more grip from the new hot rubber and less from the other side. And the whole car sort of does a swerve slightly, and it takes about a lap or two for that feeling to go. It's quite a strange thing.
2 Gte Pro Cars on pit road at the moment. The 91 Porsche from the factory team came in right at the back end of the WeatherTech Racing by Scuderia Corsa 63. Who's going to turn the red car around more quickly? Lights are on the 91.
Porsche desperately need to get ahead here, because he's been staring at the back of the Ferrari for a long time. Ferrari up on jacks to change tyres. Porsche no tyres. Yay! They're ahead of the WeatherTech car. That will be a relief for Richard Lietz.
That's taken a while, hasn't it? That has taken a while. And away goes the 63 car. This car in GT Pro for reasons other than it's got an all-pro lineup.
Now, at the head of that field, of the pro field, Alejandro Pierguidi has now come out of the pits in the 51 Ferrari, and Maxime Martin is now aboard the Aston 97, which pitted a couple of laps before. So we're waiting to see how that shakes out on the next split time, but it was very, very close before they made their stops.
Settimar De Lara comes into the pits for Roberto Corte. Chetela. Very Italian blue. 21 Dragon's Mead USA car 2. And that is Mema Rojas. Triple Rolex 24 hours winner, double ELMS champion. Brought the car in, and I think we'll take the car back out again. Looked like new tyres, didn't it?
New tyres.
And driver change.
We're hearing driver change from pit lane, but so therefore Memo is out and Timothée Bourret is in. Did you like my French accent there?
Spot on.
Better. Ah, look at this. Well done, Gte Sport. Hopefully that works out for you. Will Stevens aboard the car after a lengthy service to try and solve some kind of electrical issue around the gearbox of that car.
They've done well to change the loom on that car, if that's what it was, which we think it was. To do that in the time that they've done it is quite impressive, actually, because that is no easy job. But as you saw earlier, they were taking the whole car apart, the floor off and everything. So, yeah.
They have dropped 20 laps, unfortunately, in that process, as we watch Red River Sport coming down pit lane and 62 car. And aboard that right now is Charlie Hollings.
It's 1 hour and 20 minutes in the pits for the number 37 car as Will Stevens leaves.
That's the sort of job that they would spend a good couple of days doing when they're building up these cars. That's a 2-day job for a team of guys to do it all properly and fit it all nicely and cable tie everything in so it's all neat and tidy. Remember, a race car has around about 800 meters worth of cabling on it. If you were to put all the cables out, it's about 800 meters, and they've got to wheedle its way all the way around the car.
Now, what you don't want is them to be sweeping up and say, ah, right.
I found a bit that's missing.
Some preparatory work there for nose section. Palace Racing guys, or is that the Graph guys? Graph. So 24.
Little tuning device. That's the dive plane. The dive plane gives you some front downforce, but also overall downforce, and deflects the air to the rear wing in a cleaner way.
They could be getting that nose ready for the rain that's coming tomorrow morning.
Yeah. We were just hearing from Alex, I think is down there, that a lot of electrical parts, and yeah, it was a big job, obviously, and feel a bit sorry for him.
We ride on board with Charlie Eastwood on the TF Sport Aston Martin, now back at the head of the GT Am field, although I think it owes us a pit stop, and therefore that will put Ross Gunn back into the head of the GT Am field. So Aston Martin, and now we've got AF Corsa in third position in the 83 car. So where's the 56 car gone that was well up there? Now down into fourth position, Larry ten Voorde, the Super Cup champion for 2020, is now aboard that car. Expect that to go fast right now.
In comes Charlie Eastwood. Team all ready for him. This is on schedule for the number 90 car.
He must have been listening to me.
1 minute 22 ahead. What's a pit stop? A minute?
Let's have a quick look. It's about 1 minute 14.
Well, it's going to be quite close, that, when they come out.
Well, remember,
it might be less than 1 minute 14 that he loses, because part of that he's moving at some speed. So reality is it's probably about a minute.
And we had a great battle earlier on with Johnny Adam and Augusto Farfus in those two cars. So battle resumed. Unless, of course, they do a full service, in which case they will drop behind.
Johnny, of course, in a customer TF car, but Johnny, of course, a winner with Aston Martin at this race. And Augusto Farfus, obviously a BMW factory driver in the past. Both very good drivers. One of them Scottish, of course.
Augusto Farfus?
No, Johnny Adam.
Oh, really?
Yeah, on Larry ten Voorde, of course, not only Super Cup champion, but in the Porsche Carrera Cup race that we had as a support race to the Le Mans 24 Hours, he took victory as well this morning in wet conditions. And that was a kind of a mix of Carrera Cup France, Carrera Cup Benelux, and Carrera Cup Germany. And he managed to triumph ahead of, I think, 50 other cars. It was a busy, wet race this morning in Carrera Cup as the TF Sport car back out onto circuit. Where is Ross Gunn in comparison?
If we're lucky, we might see Nicholas Nielsen also joining, because those two cars are very close. Ross Gunn, Nicholas Nielsen, very close together.
We just watch a little montage of various driver changes that are happening at the moment.
You see the 50 car, I know this is a replay, but gradually working their way up the order.
They're doing a great job. Yeah, we were talking about them earlier.
Up to 8th position now. Sophia Flörsch is aboard that car. And they've just been quietly plugging away and just moving up through the field. Very nice. But we weren't allowed to talk to them, were we? Because Alan Manish said if we talk about them, bad things happen. So we're not allowed to say anything as yet. 7 seconds is the gap between Charlie Eastwood in the TF Sport Aston Martin and Ross Gunn in the Works Aston Martin GT Am car, with Nicholas Nielsen just a second behind him. So it's once again hotting up in GT Am, as Kazuki Nakajima brings the Toyota 8 into the pits for a service and hands over to Sebastian Buemi. You can tell that because he's got a Swiss flag on his helmet. Yes, exactly. Thank you very much, Sebastian, for making it easy for us. Unlike Brendan Hartley, who's got two completely different helmets. It's like they've got 4 drivers in that car. Does he not realise? Ooh, tyres going on the Toyota as well. So a full service this time.
Yeah. Driver change, of course, so you tend to give a new driver getting in new boots, and it's up to him to look after them. I love the way that car just fires off on electric power. One of the huge advantages of the electric power. I'm not a fan of electric power, but I do admire the way the torque of it just fires it up to the 60 kilometers an hour in a nanosecond.
Just drops off the jacks and gone.
Yeah.
And you watched it closely and testing. I had an opportunity to attend a couple of tests where they were present. It is spooky.
Yeah.
And very rapid.
And they gain. I mean,
the
biggest thing is they gain, don't they?
Oh yeah, second and a half. The teams that we were testing with said about a second and a half, just in terms of that startup.
Oh, who's in the gravel there?
That's the Euro Interpol.
Into Europol.
Oh, and lots of gravel all
into Europol.
That's nice of him to put it all over the circuit. The reason why we're looking at this battle actually is because the GT Am car's just ahead. That's the battle for second position between Aston Martin and AF Corsa, and they are chasing down the TF Sport car, which is 7.5 seconds to the good. But really, can Nicholas Nielsen get ahead of Ross Gunn is the question that we are watching right now in those lights. The white Ferrari versus the yellow Aston Martin. You have to say the Ferrari looks better, looks stronger through the fiddly stuff.
Yeah, Matevos Zakian it was that had the run across the gravel in the number 34 into Europol car. One of a pair of racing twins, Matevos. His twin brother, who is very keen to remind us that he's an hour older. Not the evil twin. And also has an encyclopedic memory of the accidents his brother has suffered in international sports car racing. He is the evil twin. But he races in the new Ligier European Series, has scored a win so far this year.
And now, having passed these GT cars once, he's going for it again, this time full of gravel, and gets past the Ferrari. And he's going to catch the Aston Martin completely at the wrong point. He might be able to sneak through before he gets to the Ford chicane. Not quite. In GT Pro, 3 seconds separate Ferrari versus Aston Martin there, with Alessandro Pierguidi in the lead, Maxime Martin in second. It's just gone below 3 seconds as Martin does the fastest lap of the Aston Martin 97's race so far. And they're coming up to the Felbermeyer car. That's really, really compromised the Aston Martin there. Ross Gunn having to get out of the throttle as he got to the apex of the second part of the chicane. Not really any opportunities, though, for the Ferrari to take through the S's. And actually, the LMP2 car is getting in the way at points as well, isn't it, Peter?
Certainly is, yeah. You'd have thought he'd be gone by now, but I guess he's clear. He's got fresh air in front of him, so we're going to see the speed of the Ferrari against the Aston Martin now. 5 laps done for Nielsen now, whereas Ross Gunn only pitted a lap ago.
But those two cars, quite aside from looking to win this race, both in the hunt for the WEC Championship. Nicholas Nielsen in his first race here, but his teammates, Manu Collard, his 24th Le Mans start. Francois Perraudot with Manu, I think it was 2016, they won the GT Am title together. Back in a GT car this year after a couple of seasons away with LMP2, and they are the championship leaders with their new young factory Ferrari GT driver teammate. But both of the Aston Martins still in that championship hunt as well. And the 50 points that come with this win could very well be very telling indeed. If they go the way of the 83 car, it's going to be a very steep hill to climb for anybody else. It goes anywhere else, though, and it's going to be a very exciting end to this season.
Back to this battle. It's for second in class. We've got Charlie Eastwood 7.5 seconds to the good. Still that split strategy on tyres for Aston Martin, with the mediums on the rear and softs on the front. Why not softs all round, Peter? Just because they might not last the distance?
I think the Aston Martin does tend to be a bit harder on rear tyres than its front tyres, so maybe they're running mediums on the rear, and maybe they also are struggling with a bit of understeer, therefore they run a softer tyre on the front. It could be either of them, but I know from having done a test with the GT3 car, it certainly used its rear tyres.
Torquey turbo engine in that thing as well. Sorry. Bruno Senna ready to go for the Rebellion.
Rebellion at the moment just 30 seconds behind the 8 Toyota, but the 8 Toyota has pitted, and of course the Rebellion is about to pit, so that will go back out again. We did see, if you have been away from the screens a few moments, with 10 minutes in the pits, the 8 car did drop behind the #1 Rebellion whilst it had brake ducting issues sorted. Had been running with that brake ducting issue for most of the race, but they took advantage under a safety car to get it totally fixed and replace the ducting so it didn't cause issue in the rest of the race. And that is why 7 has a 1 lap lead over 8. And usually it's the other way around, Graham.
Yes.
Usually 8 seems to have the better luck.
Yeah, but it seemed this year that the 7's got the better pace, and in fact for much of last year they were very, very unlucky indeed. I recall bumping into Mike Conway at last year's Goodwood Festival. He was there to drive the new GT4 Toyota Supra, and it's a long time. Of course, that was in the immediate wake of disappointment here. It's a long time since I've seen a driver as visibly disappointed about a result as what happened here last year. Although I'm sure in 2016, if I bumped into Kaz Nakajima, it might have actually edged it. But Mike Conway is long overdue a win here.
Yeah, 4 overall victories missed. 4 times second position.
And I do remember last year and how he did not put a foot wrong,
yeah.
And he was stunningly quick all the way through the race just to miss out.
But a bitter pill. You know, I guess when you're at this level and the big wins don't come your way, whether it's a championship win, he's not done that yet, or whether or not it's a win here at Le Mans, you know, it's very easy, isn't it, for us to turn around and say, it's always next year. It's a year. You know, it's another year. That's another chunk out of a finite career.
And Alan knows that well.
Yeah.
He got his first win pretty early,
yeah.
And it was quite a few years until he got his second win.
Yeah. We can say anything we like now because he's not in the room.
Yeah. Everyone gone for a little rest. A change of driver in the 22 car. Philippe Albuquerque out, Philip Hansen into the car. And all these LMP cars then OS pit stops. Remember, the G-Drive car is slightly off sequence, so expect to see Alex Brundle come into the pits very, very shortly. Antonio Felix da Costa now out of sequence as well, having had that suspected puncture. And really, well, they're the cars that have been divided by a lap by our safety cars over the last couple of hours, and therefore those are the ones that are fighting at the moment for overall victory. Things, of course, can change.
It's a bit of tale, hasn't it, of two things, the LMP2 battle, and it's been a hell of a battle. Attrition, as we've just noted, but also just a bit of luck about track position when those cautions have come out. We've got the number 32 car leading the race at the moment. That's a ELMS full season car, then the G-Drive car, another ELMS car, then we've got a pair of WEC full season lineups with United and Jota, Panis Racing and Graf, both from the ELMS again, then the first of the IMSA cars, the 27 Dragon Speed car. But we've often seen the WEC cars dominate here, and it's not the case now. it is a bit of a mixed bag. And certainly have the feeling with what's going on in the background that could happen in the next 2-3 years in this world of sports car racing at the top end. There's a lot of drivers keen to catch eyes here right now.
Max Martin has closed very quickly to Pierre Guidi.
Both on similar strategies now. They weren't on similar strategies before our safety car periods, but now much more similar strategies. Split tyre choices, as we've seen from Aston Martin versus Ferrari. But look how close Maxime Martin is coming into Indianapolis. There's nothing between the two of them. We've seen it happen a few times already during the race. Aston Martin able to get past Ferrari, but so often they haven't quite been able to do it because the pace of that Ferrari has been good in the bits where it needs to be, and it's a little slower in the parts where the Aston Martin can't find a way through. The gunner's fired in GTM, by the way. Ross Gunn is now chasing down Charlie Eastwood and dropping that gap, and also in the same way dropping Nicholas Nielsen behind him. So was under pressure for a couple of laps, but now Ross Gunn is starting to close the gap to the lead in GTM. I
think it just took him a couple of laps to get his tyres back up to temperature. And Nicholas Nielsen obviously had pitted that sort of 4 laps before him.
Confirmation, by the way, from Jackie Chan DC Racing. It was a new bell housing due to an alternator failure for that car. Back out on the charge.
Well, it was electrical. We were speculating about all kinds of bits of electrical. And there is the radar. There is, as we've been saying for the last couple of hours, there is rain around us. There's plenty of weather around us. We're just not sure which bit is heading towards us, if any. Alex reporting wind in the pit lane, and that tends to bring a storm. We had a lot of wind actually the last couple of days, and it did back off today. It's been quite still today. We've got LMP2 cars in between the GT Pro battle at the moment. Time to go around the outside, which gives them the inside in the S's.
New leader in LMP2, Roman Rusinov to the lead as Alex Brundle pits the 32.
Now, is that Aston Martin close enough through Tete Rouge to benefit from the slipstream and perhaps get an opportunity, maybe not into the chicanes, maybe you wait all the way down to Mulsanne. That's your best opportunity, really, to get the deal sealed rather than the kind of side-by-side going through the chicanes. The Aston Martin boys staring at the screens, willing their boy on to get back into the lead of the race, and less interested in seeing their own faces.
It's Sen's clawed out of it through the last sector. Under 2/10 the difference between Alessandro Pierre Guidi and Maxime Martin.
That looks like a white flag, or was it a blue flag?
Blue
Probably
flag.
A blue flag. Being shown to a slower car. That will actually probably being shown to the GT Pro cars, knowing that we've got LMP cars coming through. Just to explain why we're in this situation, now we've got different camera crews. We actually have slightly less cameras, so along the straights there, we don't quite pick up a complete lap around the Mulsanne. That's why we're cutting towards
going side by side. This is the lead battle for GT Pro out of the turn.
Headlights ablaze coming towards the camera as they come down to Mulsanne. As I said, they were going to wait for the braking zone at Mulsanne. Is it Aston Martin? Yes, it is. He's done it.
It was the line out of the second chicane. Opportunity spotted and taken, and then the drag race down to the braking zone for Mulsanne corner, and the Aston Martin had it.
Well, we've seen this. This is not the first time that Maxime Martin has got ahead of a Ferrari, but it keeps ebbing and flowing. Is there an opportunity for a fight back for Alessandro Pierre Guidi coming into Indianapolis? There's lights flashing and ablaze ahead of them. But no, the Ferrari not with the legs down the sprint from Mulsanne to Indianapolis.
Well, judging by the rate that Maxime Martin was able to catch the Ferrari, he should be able to pull away. Took tenths out of that car in every sector I watched over the last 2 laps.
Is that another Ferrari closing up behind as well? It's not a fight for position, but it doesn't look far away. Or have they just gone by it?
They've not gone by a Ferrari, I don't think. We'll keep an eye on that.
You just keep a little behind. You see another set of lights there.
It's third in the race at the moment is the 71 of course Ferrari, but it's 1 minute 25 back, so it isn't that car.
It is a pro car. Peter's absolutely right.
Replay something. Oh, that was weird. A spark, and then into the gravel. It's a Ferrari.
Is that the WeatherTech car? It is.
3, yeah.
Jeff Seagal on the wheel.
Yeah.
So there's a little spark, and there is a bump going down through the S's, isn't there?
It's exactly the point where the bike collis had its problem.
I wonder whether that was simply a lock up and run wide thanks to the bump, or maybe something more sinister, as Rebellion 3 is getting its service.
Well, we know it wasn't that Ferrari.
Oh, here we go. Here's the 63. Ooh.
And that's going in the garage.
So that was a replay of the previous lap, obviously.
So whatever the issue was, it's bad enough that the Scuderia Corsa crew are going to have to get busy.
Now, if it was a puncture, it would have been that right front, right? Because he understeered off onto the circuit. They're looking at the right front. It didn't look like it was de-inflated, though.
No. The Ferrari that's in the wake of that battle, Peter, that you absolutely correct to have spotted, is actually the Risi car.
It's Sebastian Bourdais. Yeah, I'm just looking at his lap time, pretty much identical to what Maxime Martin did, slightly slower, but yeah, his pace in that car is very good. It's a shame they're running down in 5th place and quite a bit behind.
Yeah, he's taking time out of Nicky Team, but he's, what, a minute back, really.
Nicolas Lapierre, unbeaten in LMP2, champion at Le Mans for the last 2 years, with Paul Lafarge just ahead of him, the battle for 11th position. Lafarge put that car into the wall at the second chicane in practice. And you have to say Nicolas Lapierre looks very strong round the outside into the first part and then bullies him off the circuit into the second part.
Well, it's staggering that that's a pass for position for 11th in class. Bearing in mind, this is a car that started a lap down. The 28 car.
Yeah, very, very good point.
Edex Sport have delivered once they've got those cars out there. Both the cars running well, both the cars running fairly reliably. At the moment, the 28 car in the hands of Paul Lafargue, reigning LMS champion, remember, with Paul-Luc Chetan, 12th in class, and the sister car, 14th. Yes, they are laps down, but they were to start with.
So what's going on here? Alex is down there to keep an eye on it. Definitely some issue on the right front. And they're trying to access it both from the inside and the outside. Discs going on to the left front. So have they had a braking issue totally? It seemed like a weird off if it was just simply brakes. Or maybe that spark that we saw from the car was a brake failure. Well,
there's work going on. How many men can you fit inside a wheel arch? The answer at the moment is 3.
Lots of comments about the amount of bugs that we've got, and that there's a lot less bugs. I think there is a lot less bugs this year.
By the look of that car.
Well, it's rubber, isn't it?
Rubber,
yeah. And we have had some Thunderflies around today, but ultimately, looking at all of your English plated cars that have driven from the UK, they certainly weren't plastered with bugs like they would normally be.
Mine is absolutely plastered.
Is it?
Oh, yeah. I'm expecting to be done for a serial killer for the insect world, if they would catch me. Here we go again. It's brakes, isn't it? It's got to be brakes.
Just couldn't get the car slowed down enough. That's why he needed the gravel trap to slow the car down. And now a service being done. Alex Le Guy is monitoring it, so we can have a catch up with her once that service is sorted. Ferrari
That's the 83. That's
8/10 of a second behind Ross Gunn. So caught back up to Ross. And they are only less than 5 seconds behind Charlie Eastwood now. So
catching him,
tasty. Yeah. Interestingly, Larry ten Voorde, who we kind of talked up when he got into the Porsche in 4th in GTM, that's the 56 car, has probably not done much nighttime running. He might be very, very fast in a Porsche, in a Super Cup and Carrera Cup car, but the GTE car a bit different.
I think he did the Bahrain race at the end of last season.
Okay.
Okay, on the lights, it's different. But that may be some of the only nighttime running he's done. I think he did 2 or 3 races at the end of last season, some of the flyaways with Project One.
And to be fair, he got it was Matteo Caroli that got out of the car, and he is no slouch.
Oh no, Matteo is
so
proper quick.
I think that is just the pace of the car.
I mean, to give you, I mean, Matteo correctly, privately disappointed that he wasn't elevated to full factory level last season for this season, and
he lives and breathes Porsche.
Oh, he's exactly what the template of a Porsche factory driver that I've always experienced in my time. Blinding speed, absolute consummate team player, and knows that part of the job is to tell that story. And he's done that from the very first moment I met him. I think he's an exceptional young man.
He went as far as to say to me that if he didn't get his Porsche career, his contract renewed at any stage, he would retire.
Really?
He's 24. I said, don't be so silly. Of course, sharing the car with me next week in Nürburgring.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's...
The intensity of youth.
He's incredibly quick around there as well, and he's not even done that. You know, what has he done? Maybe 3 Nürburgring 24 hours. I think he finished 4th last year in one of the Porsches. So,
well, no, Johnny Palmer and I, when commentating on the LMS, where he was given his first break in endurance racing with the Dempsey Proton, the Proton competition effort, were tipping him very, very early on. There's something exceptional about being able to get into a GTE car for the first time and dominate, and he did. And he did it at Imola, which is not necessarily a circuit you would expect to suit the Porsche.
He actually had a very kind of late start to racing. He'd always wanted to do it, and his father said no, 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 and finally his father relented, so he had a crash course. I think he went straight into something like Formula 3. He went, you know,
oh yeah, the high level,
no mucking around, straight in, and no karting, straight into cars.
He's talented, no doubt about it, and he's one. You know, we say this on commentary time and time again. We've said it about people like Jan van Uterт. We've said it about well, now Matteo Caroli, Thomas Preining we were talking about earlier. The talent is quite easy to spot in this kind of field, and it is that consistency and it is that attitude, and I love to hear that intensity as well.
Oh, that's the 63 back out of the circuit, just ahead of the G Drive 26. Roman Rusinov aboard that car from the lead, but he will hand over the lead to the 32 United Autosports when he rejoins the circuit once again. And in fact, that was Jub van Uitert going past. The question is, where is Antonio Felix da Costa in all that? And actually, Philip Hansen's dropped down to 4th in that little battle, but I think that's down to the fact that they had a full service on the last pit stop. Alex has been watching that pit stop. That's issue for the 63 car, so once she's gathered all the information, we'll find out exactly what happened to Jeffrey Siegel. It was only a 6-minute stop, so pretty quick, and by the looks of what we saw, it looked just like a disc and pad change, really. But you, right, let's go down to Alex then. The brakes and discs came off that car in vision, Alex, but what else did you see?
And front damper, broken, replays. They are whooping and cheering. They just work so hard.
6 minutes for a damper. That's pretty impressive. So the car obviously just kind of dropped, and that's what we saw, the sparks.
Well, the Scuderia Corsa team that support this, as we look at the running order. Toyota 1-2, Rebellion 3-4, United's 32 car ahead of the 26 G-Drive, 38 Jota and 22 United Autosports car. Top 8 overall, and the top 4 in each of the LMP classes. And some very small gaps in LMP2 still.